Climate justice is a moral issue. Global warming is theft. It's theft from future generations. It's theft from each and every one of us. It's theft from the most vulnerable people on the planet. And the money is flowing from them to the people at the top. We've got to reclaim our energy. We've got to reclaim our democracy. We've got to reclaim our earth all at the same time.
Well, your beautiful faces here today on this lovely winter afternoon in Salem, Massachusetts. I'm really excited to be here and to introduce you all to Only the Best for Salem, our march in opposition to the proposed Footprint Power natural gas power plant.
All right.
Faces here today. It is a lovely sight. We've been working on this issue for 2 years now since Footprint first came to town. And I never thought we would see this. You know, we've been pretty outnumbered and outgunned. But the tide is starting to turn. I live here in Salem. I live about 2 blocks in that direction. I live on the 5th floor. And every morning I get up and I look out my window and I watch the sun come up over the 2 smokestacks of this coal-fired power plant. That day, when the fog rolls in, or if there is a blizzard, I can't see them. That's a good day. But I'm looking forward to the day when the sun is shining and I don't have to look at those smokestacks anymore. We're here today to say no to this gas-fired power plant and to replace this 60-year-old coal plant. We're here today to say we don't want to be saddled with a fossil fuel plant for another 40 or 50 years. We're here to say we don't want to live under the toxic byproducts of gas-generated electricity or the carbon pollution of another fossil fuel. We're here to call on Governor Patrick to step up and live out his legacy and uphold the Global Warming Solutions Act by stopping the building of this power plant. The Salem Power Plant is an example of a short-sighted energy investment that ignores the scientists' call for a rapid expansion to renewable energy. Many of us here today came through 350 Massachusetts and 350.org, so we know the story about needing to stay within 350 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere. But we've blown past that already, past 400, so things are moving faster than we expected. We have to power down our use of fossil fuels to generate our electricity, and we have to build more efficiency into that grid. If there won't be enough electricity in 3 years, as the ISO says, then we need to speed up our installation of wind and solar options and look for ways to conserve now. People for the plant argue that this gas plant is a big improvement for the environment over the coal plant it will replace. I can't argue with that. But is a gas plant better than no plant? No. When 2/3 of our power is generated by gas and not one wind turbine is yet generating electricity off the New England coast, one of the windiest coastal regions in the world, when do we say enough is enough? Natural gas is made of methane, a chemical that traps 30 times the heat of CO2. Some scientists claim that gas is even more harmful than coal. When the ISO says we need another 150 megawatts of power in 2 to 3 years and to defend the approval of this power plant that'll generate 670 megawatts of power, is that going to be enough? No! Time is of an essence. We can't expect to reduce our carbon footprint through individual sacrifice and lessening our own individual footprint. We need to demand an energy policy like the Global Warming Solutions Act that we have now actually be enforced. Yeah! Today we have a group of people from Salem congregating over here in another part of the park to counter protest, I guess, to us. What do you call it? It's a counter protest? Yeah. There's a lot of controversy that's been created around the use of gas and the natural gas and all that kind of thing. So we would expect that there'd be a healthy debate about it. So that's not a bad thing. The worst thing that could happen is that they would completely ignore us and consider us irrelevant, which is what they have been doing, but clearly now we're not. So I'm going to say this is what democracy looks like.
Hey.
Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho!
People who live on the other side of the building here to show people that we do not have to have a gas plant in Salem. Read the door as you walk by, and thank you to Jeff and Andrea for putting that on their garages.
Go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuels have got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho!
While you're here, please make a point to go down to Miss Murphy's and we're having a wonderful chocolate festival. And beautiful ice cold chairs.
Hey, hey! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey! Ho, ho! Fossil fuel has got to go, hey, hey!
Perspective on this plant is Salem's very own Linda Haley. She is the head of GASPP and also the head of the Climate Legacy Campaign at the North Shore node of the 350 Massachusetts organization.
Thank you, Simon. And I was not surprised by the size of this crowd. I knew that people all along the state would come out because you know how serious this issue is and how little time we have to turn the tide. I grew up in Beverly and have lived in Swampscott
And in Salem, up till September, I lived for over 20 years. And as a resident who lived behind the power plant, I volunteered to try to clean up coal dust from this behemoth. And it took a court order for the power plant owners to pay any attention to the neighbors. And they lied and said that all the stuff that we were finding on our houses and our cars was not coal dust because nobody was complaining. Well, in Salem, it's tough to complain if the taxes are being paid by a huge amount coming from your power plant. But nowadays, it's less than 3%. And instead of having hundreds of jobs for the people in the local neighborhood, there will maybe be 30 jobs for the people that work in a gas plant. So, 65 gorgeous acres on Salem Harbor, where this country started, we are here to say no more fossil fuel burning. My 7-year-old granddaughter made this poster. I have 3 grandchildren under the age of 9. I am doing this for them. I want them to have a planet in which they can breathe and see. I now live in Marblehead. Some people think that I don't have a right to talk, but anybody who breathes air and anybody who cares about our environment deserves a chance to say what's on your mind. I hope you will tell the governor and all your state representatives that they better not give up on the Global Warming Solutions Act, they better not give up on green energy and jobs, and they better stop putting some action behind their words. Thank you for coming.
I cannot imagine doing anything else with my time but fighting climate change every moment. I am 22 years old. The climate has been warming as long as I've been alive, and our government has known about climate change since even before that. And if we continue down this road, the climate will only continue warming through the duration of my lifetime, dominating my entire life decisions, including whether or not to have children. Right now, we are on the cusp of one of the most extreme crises in human history, and that means that everything will change. I stand here with you because I fight for the right to live in a clean, stable, and safe world, and the right to raise children in a clean, safe, and stable world. Last week, the Union of Concerned Scientists came out with a study that showed if we continue down this gas conversion, we will actually not limit the amount of carbon emissions by 2050 as they are now. So that means all of the carbon we are pumping into the atmosphere with coal, with gas, with oil will be about the same in 2050 if we continue relying on natural gas. Natural gas is a false solution. It is a fossil fuel. It could never take us down the right path. If it was ever a bridge, it is a bridge over the climate cliff. And that's why we are here to say no to this new gas plant that would continue to be around in 2050 and continue to perpetuate the climate change that we are working so hard to avoid. But that's why we rely on our political leaders to have taken courage in implementing the Global Warming Solutions Act to safeguard against that future and to keep us from hitting 2050 in the same way that we are now. But right now, the Global Warming Solutions Act is not being implemented to its full extent. And that's why we are here to say no to this new gas plant, and why we are asking Governor Patrick to stand strong, stand behind his legislation, and call for a clean energy transition without relying on new natural gas. We are here as part of the Climate Legacy campaign to call on Governor Patrick to stand with us. We hope that this coal plant will be shut down and not replaced by one just like it that only pumps gas. So let's keep going, keep marching, keep fighting. We're going to go head to the Salem Harbor so we can see the beauty that Salem is and call for only the best and not continuing burdening communities with this kind of fossil fuel infrastructure. Thank you all so much.
Okay, everybody.
What are you, by the way?
Occupy Salem! Have to keep talking to everybody.
Yeah, of course.
We're still hanging around. This.
Don't need nothing but my journey now. Keep your eyes on your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Well, the only thing that I did wrong was stay in the wilderness to anything that I did right.
Hey, how are you?
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Maybe even over 350.
Someone count to 370.
Huh? We hired some extras.
You guys want to see this power plant get built? No! You guys want to see any fossil fuel plant get built? No! Do you guys think that there's a better way forward? Yes! Can we build a renewable energy future here in Massachusetts? Yes! Can Deval Patrick take a stand and lead us there? Yes! All right!
Martha, that t-shirt looks great. I'm so glad you're getting one. Thank you for buying one. 350.org. People are signing up on 350 Mass to get a newsletter every week, and they're also signing up for the Grassroots Against, another Salem Power Plant.
Salem, all the best. All right. All the best for Salem.
Only the best for Salem.
Only the best.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, walking up to freedom. I'm here as a person of faith because I believe that climate justice is a moral issue. Global warming is theft. It's theft from future generations. It's theft from each and every one of us. It's theft from the most vulnerable people on the planet. And the money is flowing from them to the people at the top. We've got to reclaim our energy. We've got to reclaim our democracy. We've got to reclaim our earth all at the same time. This is serious business, which is why we have to have fun and have a party at the same time. Ain't You Got It Right to the Tree of Life. This was written by Guy Carawan and Lucy Murphy, inspired by the spirituality of the Carolina Sea Islands. Ain't you got it right? Ain't you got it right? Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? That's your part. Try with me. Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Ain't you got it right? 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 Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Ain't you got it right? 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 Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? So rocky the road. So rocky the road, so dangerous the journey, so dangerous the journey, but we got it right, but we got it right. Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Ain't you got it right? 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 Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? We come from a distance. We come from a distance. We come from a distance. And we got it right. And we got it right. Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Ain't you got it right? 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 Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Our lives will be sweeter. Our lives will be sweeter. Our lives will be sweeter. 'Cause we got it right. Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? Ain't you got it right? 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 Ain't you got it right to the tree of life? We got it right to the tree of life. Thank you for being here.